Hey, this is Darren LaCroix with another Ask Darren question. Darren, I feel like I already know you listening to the Master Presenter's material. Here's my dilemma, conundrum. Been dealing with it for some time now. I'm a Unity minister, and as such, I'm expected to deliver a relatively note-free talk every 6 days. And it's in all caps, every 6 days. I could sense the frustration in that email. And it goes on to ask about developing fresh material and memorizing it in just 6 days when she has to do everything else that a minister has to do. I get it. That's a great challenge. Now, I would love to tell you I have this great pearl of wisdom that will just, and you can hear the choir of angels in the background. Not going to happen. I don't have one. I love Joel Osteen. He impresses me so much because every week on TV he gives a brand new sermon and it's relatively flawless. That's impressive. My presentations are generally using the same stories, maybe in a different order, and some different exercises that I do, so I don't really have that challenge. So what I thought would be best is to go to someone that I know who impresses me, who does have that same challenge, and ask him how he goes about creating new content and goes about memorizing, or as I would like to say, internalizing it. So let's go right now to my friend Vince, the pastor from a church right here in Las Vegas. Now I want you to know when you watch this video, it is a little dark. And I was not behind the camera, I did not see that. So please forgive that and listen clearly to what Vince had to say. So I decided to answer this question by going to an expert. See, this coming up with new material and being flawless every week is not what I do. So I came here to Vince. Vince, thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Thanks. Vince is the pastor at Verve in Las Vegas, and Vince, you have to come up with new material every single week.
Yes.
And that blows me away. You're still up there and so passionate. So what are your secrets for coming up with new material?
Yeah. I mean, fortunately, as a pastor, you got to have the source of, we're talking about God, and so that kind of helps. Some of the things that help me,
With the passion part?
Yeah, well, yeah, and just coming up with ideas that you're not just starting from scratch. You've got, you're trying to teach people about God. Some of the things that help me is planning in advance. I think if every week it was, on Monday, I'm like, what am I going to talk about this week? I'd be in big trouble. So I've got a long-range plan of here's what I'm going to talk about every week this year, and then each of those I have a file for. And so it's like, okay, I know, in June, 5 months from now or whatever, I'm going to be talking about this. But as I go through life and have stories happen to me, or I watch TV and it's like, I'll just kind of take those stories and drop them into those files. And so it's kind of like all those different messages are marinating in my head, and so I'm thinking about them and hopefully coming up with ideas. I'm dropping things into those files, and so it's kind of cool because when you get there on Monday and you have to write it, you open up the file and you're like, oh look, I left presents for myself. I forgot that happened with my daughter, and now it works perfect. So one thing is preparing in advance, letting it marinate, and kind of having those files created. Another thing is having other people to help. We've got a team of people who I'll bounce ideas off of, and so it's not me on my own, and so if you have that, that's really helpful. So another thing I do, I know part of the question was not just coming up with something every week, but being able to memorize a new thing every week. I love what you say, and you're the greatest speaking coach I've ever been around. That's true. But
he was not plugged.
No, that's true. But to internalize that, memorize that. If I have to memorize a script every week, that's really hard. If I have to internalize just a message, and then I know what I'm going to say, not word for word, but I know the message. That's a lot easier. And so internalizing it, not memorizing it. I have learned for me that reading it out loud to practice is a lot better than reading it. There's just something about reading it quietly in my head that I'll just skim through the words. But when I read out loud, it helps my memory, and also helps me to kind of find where's the inflections and what's the funny, what's the funny part of that story. Just hearing it out loud, and so I'll read it out loud once or twice, Wednesday or Thursday, 2 times on a Friday, 3 times on Saturday, once or twice on Sunday morning, and honestly, I hate it. It's not fun, but it's the work that you have to do to make it good on Sunday. And so reading it out loud, and then I went a while going up with nothing. I didn't have anything to rely on, but now I always have an outline. So for a while it was a little piece of paper. Now I've got a TV screen up there at the bottom of the stage that just has the basic outline. So just in case that time where you're like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, and I'm not finding in my brain what I'm supposed to say, I can at least find on that outline what's the next big point. And again, I'm not trying to hit word for word. I'm just trying to just trying to get that main message out.
So God's okay with cheat notes.
Yes. Yes, that's one way you can cheat with God. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Very cool. Any other tips or techniques to internalize or go over your script? So you do it a few times a day.
Yeah. And one thing I do, I think you talk about this too, it's kind of, I guess it's the equivalent of stage time, is if I have a story I'm going to tell, like a funny story, I'll tell it to anybody and everybody I can, partly to memorize it, but also you just find the humor in it. And so if something happens with my daughter, I just go around talking about it all week long because I know it's going to show up in a message in the next couple of weeks. And just every time you tell it, you're like, oh, that's what people laugh at. I need to really, build that part of the story.
So it naturally gets tighter the more you tell.
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. And do you tell people, hey, I'm working on a story for my sermon, or you just work it into your natural conversation?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much,
Thank
Vince.
you.
If you're ever in Las Vegas, check out VivaLaVerve.com. Vince, great speaker. What I love.
What's the site?
That's right. Yep.
VivaLaVerve.org.
Either way, they both work.
They both work.
Yeah.
What I love about Vince is he's so coachable, and here he's a person who's up on stage on a regular basis, making it happen. This is what he does, but he still is hungry to get better. Studies CDs, DVDs, even came to Lady and the Champs. So, Vince, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep, right. He's a guy to listen to.
So if you'd like to ask a question, just go to www.askdarren.com. And also check out my blog and see the other questions that were asked to me that I've answered that might help you. Stage time.
Stage time. Stage time.